75 bears little of the persona of a war veteran that he is. He is a typical patriarch of a family with grandchildren who in the evening of his life is content to tend the plants in his small garden, read a little, meditate some, and devote himself to the welfare of his family. That is, until you sit in front of him and look on his craggy face and shining eyes as you prompt him to recall the capture of Haji Pir.
In 65, we went to Uri to cover the operation of Haji Pir Pass. After staying at night at Uri, next morning, local brigade commander Brigadier Bakshi took us to Haji Pir Pass. We left in the morning. It was a steep climb, but after walking on foot for about 4 to 5 hours, we reached in the evening at Haji Pir Pass. We stayed the night at Haji Pir Pass. Next morning, after covering that Haji Pir Pass, that was a historic moment. We feel very proud and happy, though enemy has retreated, but still occasionally shelling sound was coming. And after staying for about half an hour or 40 minutes there, we came back, and well, return journey was not so tough as while going because it was coming down. Anyway, it took us less time and we reached at Uri.
We take him down memory lane and ask him how did he start his career.
I joined the army in 1940 and in the RIACMT branch. In end of 1940, I proceeded to Middle East, and there I was attached with 7th Indian Brigade. Well, the fighting was going on in the desert, Sidi Barani, Tabruk and everywhere. It was in 1941 when our troops were advancing toward Tabruk side and Libya side. A place called Sidi Umar. We were there in the evening, and in the evening we were just sitting there. At that time the fighting was slightly lull in the fighting. But suddenly we found that some movement and commotion is there. Then suddenly we found the troops coming and calling Italian or Italian. We found that they were the enemy vehicles, and they just told us to raise your hand. We raised our hand, and suddenly we found that we are the prisoner. They gathered us in one place and put us in one place and said, you sit down. It was in the evening. Anyhow, we were put there in the evening and we stayed there for the whole night, just sitting like sheep. In the morning, our troops also advanced, and we were under crossfire, both their and our. But anyhow, enemy started retreating, and they told us at the point of rifle that you sit there, don't move. And before that, I didn't know what was the camera at that time. There some people came and started taking shots of us, and they told us, do this, do that, do that. Then I said, there is something in that. Anyhow, the next morning when they left, and we were set free.
It was still as a driver in the Royal Indian Army Service Corps that he was posted to the Defence Information Training School at Calcutta that fate took a hand and turned his career around.
Then after returning to India, I was posted in a film unit called Photo and Film Unit in Calcutta. There once I was just sitting, a captain, chief cameraman came, and he just talked to me. I was talking in English. He said, why don't you become a cameraman? I said, I don't know anything. He said, no, we will give you the training. I said, all right. Then I was trained by them. It took me about 4 to 5 months, good training. He took us to all the film unit and laboratories and other, whatever initial training was, and gave us the camera. Then after that, immediately I was sent to forward area at that time in Burma. And the first operation I saw in the Burma was a Manava operation. It was sometime in the afternoon, and it was very fierce fighting, fierce battle. Means I was there in one of the brain carriers sitting there, but it was rather difficult to move around. But anyhow, to take the shot, I have to get down and take some shots of the army lying in the trench, troops lying in the trench, or the brain gun carrier used to, with the infantry, they used to fire. That was the most thing. But anyhow, we were able to repulse the enemy and successfully got that objective. After covering this Manava operation, I was just moving with the division forward Suddenly I got the message from my headquarters that I have to return to Calcutta. I came back. There they told me that I have to proceed to Italy. I joined the troops at Senior River, but that, as I already said, the battle usually take in the evening, but anyhow we were able to go there after, and that was more or less the end of the battle in Italy after the fall of Senior River. Then Italians started retreating and we just chasing them, and just chasing them and reached, and they retreated right from Venice onward. After the surrender of Italian troops in Italy, the war ceased in Italy. Then I came back to Calcutta. After having a short leave, then I was sent to Singapore to cover the role of occupation forces. At that time, the Japanese have also surrendered in Singapore. There I stayed for about 5-6 months. And the most memorable moment in my life was I was officially detailed by the director, by the public relations director there, to accompany Pandit Nehru, who came there on the invitation of Lord Mountbatten, who was the Supreme Commander of Southeast Asia Command. And I toured with him throughout the Malaya for 3-4 days.
Soon thereafter came independence and with it demobilization. However, Abnashi Ram rejoined Armed Forces Information Department as a civilian cameraman and was involved in his profession as a war newsreel cameraman in Jammu and Kashmir, where fighting had broken out against Pakistani raiders a couple of months after partition.
In J&K, I joined the troops in Jammu sector, Nushaira of Jammu sector. There the battle was going on, a post called Taindar at that time. There, I covered the activities and the fighting there till up to the capture of Rajouri. I covered the Rajouri and the atrocities committed by the raiders on the local population there. That was the most ghastly scene I have seen, where a lot of people, they were buried alive more or less in the graves that I covered. And that picture was also shown in the UN also. Then after that, my next important assignment was in Korea with the peace mission. There I stayed for 5-6 months. That was the most exciting assignment, working with the International Press Corps and to learn the things, how they work.
Things heated up yet again in March-April 1965 in the Rann of Kutch. In Abnashi's words,
my next important assignment was Rann of Kutch, 1965. There I went. Actually, the names were there, but actually on the ground you don't find anything. The name was Kanjar Kot, but you hardly find a small hut there. Or Cream Shai, there were only few trees. That was the place. Or Ding Surai, all desert. And Miraj, you see as all the tents are moving. And lack of water, no water. Water used to come from a place called Khawda. That was the water hole there, sweet water. And that was the biggest problem.
A mere 6 months later, the full-fledged war against Pakistan broke out in September 1965, during which the Haji Pir event we have already spoken of took place. However, Abnashi Ram was not done with war coverage yet.
After Haji Pir Pass operation, my next assignment was in Punjab. I went and covered mostly this Barki sector. Of course, I did go on the Pul Kanjri side near that Dograi sector, but my main coverage was on the Barki side, and we captured the Barki. And this Khemkaran side where the famous tank battle was held. 1971, I didn't cover the actual operation. I was about 52 years old at that time, 1971. And I was not going in most forward area, not allowed to go there. But mostly my job was to coordinate the assignment and the coverage of cameramen outside at Delhi.
It is not as if in between armed conflicts his duties did not call upon him to record for history other breathtaking ventures of the armed services. His endeavors in covering natural disasters brought him a unique distinction in 1976.
It was flood in Nagaur, Rajasthan, near Jodhpur. Never used to rain there so heavily. People said that it is after 100 years that this type of rain has occurred. And all the water was in the bazaar and other sort of thing. I think after this seeing, as you know, the best picture is always made of the human misery. So this was the reason perhaps they might have selected this sort of newsreel for giving me the best newsreel award.
Next year again, he achieved the same distinction for a ceremonial occasion, a display by the President's bodyguard. So, if Abnashi Ram, with all this action under his belt, takes life at a more leisurely pace, who can deny him his well-earned laurels and rest? A man of few words, his description of his experiences does not do justice in his own narration. His pictures of events have spoken far more elaborately and enriched the annals of armed forces endeavors, sacrifices and achievements. But still, a last word from him would not be out of place. His advice to budding cameramen.
Now the new equipment has come. The old photography concept has been changed. But my advice to the young cameraman is to be at the right place at the right time. That is the most important thing. They should not be late so that they may not be able to miss the function. The second thing I'll say, they should be slightly insult-proof. So that whenever they want to be pushed out, they say they must take picture, that they have to take that picture.
Time of 20 seconds. You get 5 points for every correct answer. La Matinee for Girls, Calcutta, are you ready for your set of questions? Well, then we'll start your clock now. Cirrhosis pertains only to the liver.
True.
Incorrect. Stuttering is more common in men than in women.
False.
Incorrect. Sweat glands respond to emotional stimuli.
False.
Incorrect. By the age of 70, 20% of the nerve cells in the brain die.
True.
Correct. That's the only one you got right out of the 4 that came your way. Bad luck, La Matinee for Girls, but you've done very well so far. Cirrhosis can also affect the kidneys, lungs, ovaries, and so on. And males stutter about 4 to 6 times more than females, and it still isn't clear why people stutter. And we do break out in a cold sweat, or our palms become damp when we are afraid or nervous. We'll move across to St. Joseph's, Kanpur. Last question of the 3rd cycle. What are you going to pick?
Hit or miss, 1, eyes.
You're going to take the hit or miss set on eyes, right? 4 questions to be answered within 20 seconds. St. Joseph's, Kanpur, we'll start your time now. Color blindness is an inherited trait and there's no medical cure for it.
True.
Correct. Tears are antiseptic.
True.
Correct. Excessive use of alcohol and tobacco can damage the optic nerves.
True.
Correct. Images received by the 2 eyes are not identical.
False.
Incorrect. That's the only one you got wrong, I'm afraid. As a matter of fact, the 2 eyes do perceive slightly different images and the brain fuses them into one image, St. Joseph's, but you pick up 15 points over there. That's good going. That means your overall tally is now 50. La Matinee Girls is still at the top of the table with 60. We have Chinmay Vidyalaya Ernakulam with 25, and St. Anthony's are at the moment at minus 15. And we're going to begin the 4th cycle by asking St. Anthony's Hyderabad what they're going to pick.
Hit and miss, 6, food.
The hit and miss set on food. Right. Try and get as many of these right as possible, St. Anthony's Hyderabad. All the best to you. We'll start your clock now. The fat content of 100 grams of raw potatoes is 0.
False.
Incorrect. A human being needs about 1 kilocalorie each minute just to keep alive.
True.
Correct. Vegetable oil contains no cholesterol.
True.
Correct. It's true. Most of the gas in the stomach is a result of swallowing air during a meal.
False.
Incorrect, St. Anthony's. As a matter of fact, though gas can occur in the stomach because of a number of reasons, a large part of it is because of air that is swallowed while eating. And vegetable oils don't, as a matter of fact, contain any cholesterol. Cholesterol only occurs in animal foods. And I'll accept Amit's answer on that one because that's the one that came in first. St. Anthony's, Hyderabad, you pick up 10 points because you got 2 right and 2 wrong in your hit or miss section. We'll move across now to La Madiniya for girls, the leaders of the table, and ask them what they're going to pick.
Visual aid, number 9, audio clue.
Right, visual aid is the only category you haven't attempted so far. And in the audio clue, what you're going to hear is some people talking about a particular infection which I want you to identify. This is your clue.
I remember having it when I was young. My face was swollen, I had an earache and stiffness when I opened my mouth.
It's an infectious disease characterized by inflammation and swelling of the thyroid glands.
So, which infection do they mean?
Mumps.
Mumps is absolutely right. Mumps can occur to people at any age, but usually strikes between the 5 to 15 age group, and the mode of infection is airborne through infective saliva, right? That takes us to St. Joseph's, Kanpur. What are they going to pick?
Rapid fire, 16th, health miscellaneous.
You've left your rapid fire set to the very last. It's the set on health miscellany. 6 questions to be answered in 45 seconds. If you're ready, we'll start your time now. Who established the circulatory system of blood in humans?
William Harvey,
Harvey is correct. What is the ophthalmoscope used for?
to detect eye diseases.
To test eyesight, I'll accept that. Which insect transmits the bubonic plague to man?
The flea,
I'll accept this completely. What did the World Health Assembly in May 1977 set out as the goal of all governments by the year 2000?
reduce the population growth rate.
No, it's what is the solution to iodine commonly called?
I didn't. Pass.
Incorrect. The correct answer is tincture iodine. So you lose points for that, St. Joseph's, Kanpur. St. Joseph's, Kanpur got 3 right, but they got 2 wrong. So they have 5 points from that set, and their overall score is 55, which is comfortably in 2nd place. We move to the last question in the last cycle, and that's going to be taken up by Chinmay Vidyalaya Ernakulam. And the one you pick is?
Hit and miss, 2 fever.
The hit and miss section on fever. Right, 4 questions. Try and we'll start your time now. Rubbing alcohol on skin helps reduce body temperature.
False.
Incorrect. Fever is the result of an imbalance between the heat produced in the body and heat eliminated from it.
True.
Correct. When children have high fever, it's good to wrap them up completely.
False.
Correct. In fever, the work and rate of the heart are increased. You can take that.
True.
Correct. That's right, Chinmay Vidyalaya. You got 3 out of 4. You just missed 1. That's the one about rubbing alcohol on the body in high fever. As a matter of fact, when the alcohol evaporates, it reduces the fever. There are, of course, less smelly ways to reduce fever, such as a sponge with saline solution or cold water or a cold compress. Chinmay Vidyalaya, you wind up with a tally of 40, which is a good score, but just not good enough to get ahead of the 2 qualifiers. We found our 2 qualifiers. On top of the table, it's La Martiniere for Girls, Calcutta. They have a terrific score of 75 points. And then after them, it's St. Joseph's, Kanpur, who are there safely in 2nd place with 55 points. We'll be seeing them again in the semi-finals of Crossfire several weeks from now. All that remains now is to congratulate the winners and commiserate with the losers. You can't win them all. You got to win some, you got to lose some. We hope you enjoyed that. Do join us again next week, same time, same place, for another round of Crossfire. Goodbye.